Hello. Good evening, y'all. First, let's cheers to this wonderfully weird weather we're having on Easter, in the Easter holiday, with a cornet and a Carmelite glass. Should be fine. Skål. Yummy. Right. Last time where we left off was at the very end of the stream. We started thinking about security. Ooh, scary. So that's something that we can do today, is to try to figure out how we're going to set up authentication. That would mean setting up a local key cloak, for example, using Docker. The other thing I could do, and then continue implementing that stuff using, I don't know, some kind of, hopefully there's a little bit of a library in Elm for that, and then figuring out the backend a little bit as well. I'm actually not sure if that's such a great idea, actually implementing something in the backend right now, because I started transforming my Spring Boot application into Ktor, and maybe I want to wait until that's finished before I add some new features there. Excuse me. So yeah, maybe we can't really. Actually, it doesn't matter all that much because it's going to just be the ports or the adapters, I mean, that are going to need changing anyway. Everything in the base can remain the same. But yeah, the authentication part might be a bit backend specific in that sense though. So we might still wait with doing that. Yeah, let's wait with that. What leaves us? That leaves us with some stuff. So this we shall wait with. Then we could do this. A registered player can challenge another registered player. Then they get an oof. And we need to write a Discord bot for that. I don't think I should start that unprepared. Match reporting is something we could do. For sure. And a registered player can report a loss without a challenge. So that they instantly create a match that they've played against somebody else. Leaderboard gets updated when a match was reported. That's a bit different now, but that should be still okay. Yeah. Cool. We don't have a ladder ending yet, so we've got some things to choose from, but they all need to be at the top, above this bar here. I feel like I'm at a county fair where I can only pick from certain toys in the stall. The other thing we could do is add recent matches somewhere. Where would that be somewhere? I actually have no idea. Like, there's no real thing here. Maybe you want... That should be somewhere with leaderboards, I guess. Where we report on what the most recent matches were. I'll try to show why, because right now I've listed this as a thing we might want to show, but maybe it shouldn't be part of the MVP, in fact. So yeah, let's leave it out then and focus on getting some work done. Okay, so I guess what we'll do is the OIDC part then. Maybe I should demo the application that I've got currently. If I refresh, okay, nice. So we we have some registering happening there, but I guess there's no uniqueness yet. We could actually finish that part without you doing the actual authentication. So that would be this thing here. So registering implies you'll need to have a specific ID that we can refer to via your OIDC or your JOT token basically, and then we'll link you with a registered player account in the system so that you're known in the system. And then we can check duplicate names, for example, stuff like that. We should probably do that. But so in any case, if you're unregistered, this would be the page that you're welcomed with. Then you'd click on register and nothing happens. That's interesting. I wonder why that is. Because last time we verified that it was working, so... wait, no. I reverted back to the original one so I could reproduce. Okay. So that was the thing causing the issue that we were seeing right now. I posted about it on the Elm Slack's beginner channel. So there we go. Then we can register, blah, blah, blah. Join the fray. And then you are now registered. And then if we were to go back, maybe I should implement redirecting back to home after. So if we would refresh this. Wait. So that's because it's been broadcast that the player was registered, but the leaderboard has not been regenerated yet. Because the regeneration only triggers after a certain amount of time. And I can explain that a little bit better by looking at this diagram here. So what just happened was I registered. We executed the command to register. That player got saved in the database, and upon success, the player registered event got thrown or broadcast, and then there's like something that picks that thing up, registers it or stores it in the database as a broadcast event, and then here it says every minute, but I think it's every 5 minutes now. And then this most challenges leaderboard policy is going to rehydrate itself and then projects itself into the database. And that last step we missed. It happened before. You can see it's a scheduling thread. It happened before, but it hasn't happened just yet. So maybe as some utility we could have somewhere like a button or maybe like an API endpoint that we can call to trigger the leaderboard refreshing. But actually it doesn't really make sense that, let's say that you would get redirected, then if you would get redirected, then that means that you expect yourself to be in this leaderboard here, at least with a 0 rank or something, indicating that you have now registered for the leaderboard and you're present in it. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we don't bother with that stuff for now. Let's figure out what we can complete to, or like add as extra features to make sure that I can't register twice with the same nickname. And then I think what we'll do as well is we'll also already add like maybe a random maybe a random sub or something like that. Because in my plan, where is it? In the plan to, here, to actually register, we want, that's what we identified before, was that the combination of ISS and sub is unique with regards to JOT. So that means like Google and then Google's identifier for you. So this combination plus your nickname means you can register. So I think I'll need to change this command into this in any case, so that I can then already link you somehow. Huh? Okay, so let's close, maybe let's close all the things. Close all tabs. And then we'll go to, I guess we'll just go to domain. Because in the domain, I don't know what this thing is doing there. Let's make this a little bit more open. Okay, so we've got a registered player aggregate then, I guess. And here we should have a command that would register a player. Ah, there we go. Register player handler. And this command handler deals with register player as a command. So we just have the nickname, which is something that we'll need to, I don't know, expand a bit. And where do we want to expand first? So we'll do the handle here. Does this thing have tests? I know we don't have that yet. So what do I want to test now? Basically, I want to unit test that whenever this player registered has... Oh wait, no, this is the domain event. Yeah, no, that's not something I need. Just yet, at least. I need this one, the register player. This command here. I have something in my scenario thing. Oh, I didn't call it scenario. Somewhere in web, we've got tests. Here's the registration. I did call it scenario. Okay. So we've got a register player step. You'll get some ID. Maybe exposing the ID is not something that's interesting, is it? I guess I'm already doing that using this thing here. It doesn't really matter. Then, what happens next? Fetch all players. Yeah, so I can't really test that my player has a linked internal account ID, let's say, because that's not going to be helpful information to the UI, I don't think. It's only for checking stuff in the backend somewhere to make sure that they are linked. So we can't really verify the correct behavior by just our scenario tests now. Unless we add a database querying assertion, let's say. We could do that as well, but when will that have an impact, in fact? Well, so then we're like, why am I keeping that ID on a registered player? Well, it's to make sure that if you authenticate yourself again using the same combination of ISS and sub, that we can link you back to an actual player. And then your session starts basically. Wondering how to do that in tests then, huh? Because I mean, I can just keep it on player registered, or where is it? A registered player. I could just do this, val account ID or something like that. And then this would be a combination of the, so I guess a tuple of the jot ISS jot sub, and then that would be your external account ID, I guess. Maybe something like that. I could also use this, maybe IDP, and use the terminology there. And I think what that would mean is, or what that would be called, would be IDP. My mind is blanking on it. Principal, I think. No, but I don't like that terminology because I don't understand it well enough. So yeah, let's stick with external account ref and then add a tuple or something. Well, actually, it should be an external account ref then, and then that can be. I wanted to go like this, but let's make it into its own data class. External account ref, having two things, private val. This thing, I don't know what that actually is. I suspect that it's just a string. Okay, I was gonna go like this and make it look Elm style. But yeah, Kotlin or IntelliJ thinks otherwise. I'm also not sure why I'm keeping this, because I think that was just like a way to verify this thing somehow, because it's a private val even. I have no idea why that's there. Okay, and is this tested maybe? No. We should probably get rid of this then, because it's not being used at all. Maybe I should have done some cleanup, like throw away some code, make new code. Do we want to have some defaults for this? I don't think I do, because then, yeah, we'd still get, how do you say that? We'd still be able to make incorrect or invalid registered player objects, and I don't want that. Okay, so let's lean on the compiler and then fill this stuff in as we go. So if I want to create a registered player in that handler over there, I want this to come from the command from the command itself. So let's just pass it along from the command into the registered player. And then that means that this external account ref should live in the API. Ah, dang it, I wasn't closer by that thing. Let's put it in registration, in register player. And then we've got a data class here. There we go. Now we need to import it, of course. Then this thing will need to add as a member property to register player the command. There we go. Oh, I think I wanted to add it as a, not as a property, but as a constructing property. I don't know how you call that. Constructor argument. Voila. There we go, that's compiling at least. So then once we have this registered player, I guess what will also, we don't want to expose that information back again. At least I don't think so. Maybe I do need it in this representation, however. Not sure. We don't need it right now, so let's not add it yet. So then the save is gonna come. We'll say, hey, player repository, can you please save this thing? And then what we'll do is we'll map it into a queryable player. And of course, we'll need to somehow say, please store this information as well. So what we'll do here is we'll just add. I feel like there should be like a better pattern for that. External account ref. That thing doesn't exist in the queryable player thing, and if I'm not really sure. Oh, it's still in core API. Okay, cool. So that would be, this is the like part of our port into saving players, registered players. So I guess we'll just add it. Add parameter to constructor. Yeah, sure. Voila. As a val. And that's about it for that part. Oh yeah. So if we want to rebuild a registered player from a queryable player, we'll also need to say this is the external account ref you'll need to add. Maybe what I'll do though is split this thing up because it's comprised out of two fields, the ISS and the sub. Now I'm doubting if I want to add it to my registered player table. I guess I could always extract it out of there via migration. So we need to think, can a registered player, oh, maybe this is a good one. Can they be identified with multiple accounts? So imagine that I want to register and I say, yeah, I've got my Google here's my Google authentication for you. We'll save their ISS and sub from Google, add it to Schelp as a nickname. And then I say, well, I want to be also identifiable via Epic Games, via the Diabotical API or something like that, or Epic Games, the API. So maybe I'll want to link my Epic Games account as well to that. In that case, we've got, we'll need to have multiple external account refs for the same registered player. And at that point, just adding it as columns to my registered player is not going to be good enough. But the thing is, what we could do, because we could limit it to having, so basically forcing players when they want to register into having an Epic Games account. Because, I mean, they're going to be playing Diabotical anyway. To challenge other players, so and then play their matches. It's going to be done in Diabotical, I guess. That's my assumption. That this thing is not going to be used for any other game. Yeah, I mean, when that happens, we'll deal with that later, I guess. Okay, so then that means we can keep this external account ref as a one single thing, but I am going to additionally add some musings about that. Oh boy, what day is it? April, I don't know, 6th? Yeah. External account ref. Well, actually, we'll keep a single external account ref instead of multiple for one registered player. So if somebody wants to both link their Google and their Epic Games accounts to the same ScrambledEggs account, they won't be able to. We'll make sure people register using Epic Games. Voila. So here's a how do you call it? An ADR, an architectural decision record. So maybe only. So we'll get easier future integration. There we go. Multiple accounts isn't impossible either, so we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Voila. Okay, so then that means we can just keep this in our registered player. Well, actually, it's more important that we keep it here so that it can get saved. But then I think what I want to do is maybe split them out, or I'm not really sure if I should do it here or in my JDBI. Maybe it makes more sense to do it there. Let's do it there. So we do have a DAO somewhere. DAO. Here we go, the players DAO. It's an implementation of this queryable players thing. And then I'm going to store a queryable player, and we'll register a Kotlin mapper for the queryable player class. But then I think I also want to register a custom mapper, maybe? Is that how JDBI works? To make sure that the external ref is added in 2 columns instead of a single one. I'm not really sure how you do that. So now I want an integration test on my DAO somehow. Did we write that last time? Oh, I see a test package here. We do. Nice. Let's copy this bullshit. And then maybe not on leaderboard projections, but then in org scrambled adapter RDBMS core players players DAO test. Like this, and then we can create a new test saying an external account ref is persisted in 2 columns. Don't know what's happening with my typing skills. Maybe I haven't had enough beer yet. It's going to be it. Cool. And then past scallop. Please refresh my memory. Oh yeah, I'll need to also auto wire my players DAO, of course. Players DAO, and this is a players DAO. And that thing, nice. And then I'll want to store a new queryable player having some ID. And I don't remember if we've got random stuff set up for that. Player ID. Is it that one? Yeah, I guess it is. It's a UUID. So let's do UUID.random. Nickname, let's do snarf. And then this will need to add a new external account ref of 2 strings. 1, 2, 3. And maybe it's better if I'll go like this: Epic Games, and then Snarf is Snarf and LeadSpeak for their Epic Games account. How am I going to check that it's being persisted in 2 columns? I guess by just making sure that it can be persisted. Okay. Let's do get by ID to make sure. Okay, so this is the snarfs ID. And then we can assert that fetched snarf the external account ref is equal to this one. So get by ID is going to return an optional or what? That's not something I expect. Why is that? Do I catch that somewhere else, maybe? In the get by ID implementation of the registered player repository. Okay then. So here is where I decided to make sense of it. So that means that in our unit test we can still do the same. Oh, not here, but yeah, maybe it can explode there. So let's do that. And then it'll go boom if we couldn't find a snarf by their snarf's ID. All right. Let's try and run this and see if it fails. I guess it should, because JDBI won't be able to understand how to persist the external account ref yet. And then we can start looking up how to do that, in fact. JDBI. I know embedded column term from Hibernate or JPA, but I'm not sure. Column name. Oof. Pull requests. Let's figure out, or let's check if we can use standard stuff from here. I know there's a bit of a difference with the Kotlin object mapper thing. To reuse inside another. Okay. I wish people would stop using foo and bar as good examples, because they're not. All right. Binding arguments. Maybe there's some extra stuff here in additional annotations. Ah, it came back. It failed. That's good. Why mapping constructor injected type queryable player matched columns for constructor parameters? But not for parameter 2. This thing. Yeah. At least the message is somewhat clear. Wait, no, these are annotated methods. It's this thing, huh? Then maybe I'm afraid that in the additional annotations. Oh. It's also not something I want. This looks like the thing I might need. Let's check this thing out. Customize the execution of a statement. This seems to do with, oh, maybe bind map. I wish there was something like unwrap or something like that in JDBI, but it appears there is not. At least not one that I was able to find. Register constructor mapper? No. No. It's too bad. It does say here SQL objects, and then we've got annotated methods. Oh, temporary. What's this thing? Wadu. Insert full contact with Alice. What are they trying to do here then? Oh, or maybe that's just like that every time you add Bob, Alice also gets added or something like that. I don't know. Can't really interpret that properly. It's handles, transactionality. And binding arguments was something about how to bind it in your actual methods. But I'm looking for something how to do it on maybe here, maybe bind bean. Let's go back to the code base. Because here we've got register Kotlin mapper, and then what? Let's try to navigate there. And maybe there are more in here as well. No? 9. I guess the quick fix would be to, well, quick fix might be just like a good fix in any case, is to make sure that queryable player doesn't exist out of a single thing but out of multiple things. So this would be not just external account ref, but then we'd have 2 things, namely both these. Just like that. And then we just write our own mapping. And then we don't need to bother writing this kind of stuff anyway. And then it'll also be less magic. Yeah, let's go with that. Oh. And the package can also be dropped. Then we'll need to go back to register player. The register player. Or where was that thing? I guess in the register player command handler. I know, wait, it's in the repository. My bad. So here we'll need to first get the. We don't have that thing because it's private. Yep. Then I guess we'll need to make it public, which is a bit weird. Don't like doing that. Sub, and then this is the other way around, so I'll need to recreate an external account ref based on this .iss and this .sub. Fine by me. Maybe what I think I'll do is I'll make these into type aliases for those things so that I don't accidentally mix them up. And then string, and then this would be and that kind of thing. Oh. Voila. Then we could also go to the queryable player and then reuse those types because they're in the same module. It makes it a little bit easier to not make mistakes, but you could still just pass any kind of string there, so there's no real type safety, just more of a hint. Alright, I think then the circle is full. Now we'll just need to make sure that in our controller methods where the command is created, so this command, where is it? This one, that the external account ref is correctly filled in. Alright, and now we've got, now we'll have to do double the work because we're doing both Ktor and Spring Boot. I guess the Spring Boot part is the more important of it for now. Ah, here we go. Sub plus provider, yep. So there's no, what we learned last time is that there's no guarantee. Or, well, there's no guarantee in the specification of the JWT. So we'll need to add the provider, which is the ISS. That's so funny. I skimmed over this comment so many times, and in the last week we just asked the same question again and came to the same conclusion. So yeah, now it's become a bit more explicit. And I don't really know how to do that for now. I don't think I want to add it to register player JSON. Maybe I do for now, because then I can make sure that you'll set up uniqueness rules. Maybe that's a good idea. Okay, let's try and do that. So we'll make them explicit arguments for this JSON thing here, but we won't. But we'll supply them with defaults. So, boy, did I already forget? You bet I did. Sub ISS. And ISS. I don't know why I put them in the other order, so let's keep them in the more sensical order. Yeah, and then that means we can use the registration info to also registration info. What's your problem? Oh yeah, the command doesn't have that. Wait. Oh yeah, that's right. So we'll have an external account rev, which will create from the ISS and the sub. There we go. Cool. And now I think stuff is going to break because our scenario tests are gonna try and create this register player JSON thing. And at least I hope it's not going to compile. It's a bit worrying, innit? How have y'all celebrated Easter or whatever holiday you're celebrating? In Belgium, we celebrate by first looking for eggs in the yard. Maybe chocolate, maybe real ones, like cooked ones. Or, and then that's optional. The weather changes every 10 minutes from having snow until having sunny weather. Guess that's part of the year now. No value passed. Oh, in the registration steps. See, I'm glad that we got these. Oh man, now I need to push that up as well. Do we just add it as a tuple or something? So that you always have to add them. Tuple of two strings. And then we'll destructure that into jot ISS and jot sub. And then actually I have no idea if you can actually do that. Doesn't look like I can. Oh, maybe it's also not tuple. Oh yeah, it's not. Maybe it's pair then? Yeah. Must have a what? Body, ah. That makes sense. Okay. Voila, and then we'll also do that for a second, and then more stuff will have broken, probably in the scenario over here. Yeah. And then we'll just add, I don't know, epic to schlep. I don't know. Now we should be compiling. But you never know. Looks like I am though. Oh. Some other stuff broke. Yeah, of course. I need to make sure that my Ktor is also compiling, of course. So what will I do here? Well, we still modified this thing anyway, so... Oh, did we? We didn't. This is a bit annoying because I didn't want to depend on Springs or my Spring Boot implementation of the REST API, but that thing, of course, contains the contract of what the API looks like for Spring Boot, and I didn't want to bother having like a REST API contract layer module, if that makes any sense. So I just duplicated it. So I guess that's what I'll do now. Again, is I'll just duplicate it, bam, and then just take that from here. Sub, and then wrap these, I think, in a external account ref. And these we'll need to import because that works the same. And then it is compiling everywhere. Cool. I stand corrected. It's because I have unit tests for this, but now I need to try and figure out if I still need this one actually, because we already have our scenario test that's basically testing the same behavior now. There's not a lot of stuff going in here. I did use this unit test to drive my implementation, but now it can be removed. So that's what we'll do now. And lean into having more integration tests. In favor of unit tests that, well, basically mimic their implementation anyway, so them's the bad tests. So this is really just temporary. Temporary until we implement actual OAuth, I guess. Cool. But now we actually, you know what, we can write a scenario test that verifies that I can't create two accounts with the same combination of this thing. So let's try and do that. So an anonymous user registered themselves twice with the same account, external account info, account ref. And receives an error, I guess. So now we're going to try to register snarf, and then snarf is also going to be registered with epic. This is fine for now. We won't. Do we want to verify that they're there? I guess this is an important step because we want to know that they are registered properly before we try to register them again for a second time. And then this won't matter. This is going to throw an exception. Now this is annoying because I wrote my register player step with the assumption that I'm always going to be returned a player ID, and that's no longer the case. I guess we'll get this thing here. Maybe that's okay though. Right? So can we also get the body maybe? Response.body. No. JSON? Something else? Content. Okay. So somehow we'll need to make I need to transform this into actual content. How did we do that here? Here it's baked into the get, I think. But now I need to do it later. Here's the T, that's a request. This is typed as well. Oh, okay, so maybe we can do receive or what? Yeah, indeed. Maybe let's try that. Aha. And then receive that as an error. Yo, contentful devs. Thanks for the raid. How have you been? Hope you've got a nice stream. Dunsies. Oops. We're just trying to figure out how to make sure that we can reuse this register player step for both returning a player ID, and if it's an error message, that we can assert on the runtime exception that we're throwing here to also contain, maybe we can pass something else. No, I guess not. We could quickly extend this runtime exception into our own assertion or something like that. Is it in the client? Should we put it here? I guess so. Let's do API error or something. Which is going to contain a message of a string, sure, and then a body, response body of type T. So that means that this thing is typed. Then we'll say that this is a runtime exception. Right, we need to say that it's a class, of course. Oh, okay then. Then maybe what we'll try to do is we'll keep this. We'll say pass message, you'll do that thing. And then it shouldn't be a property, but just a builder thing. And then what we'll do is we'll add, how the heck am I going to do that? I guess because this is just the thing I wanted to write, so what we'll do is we'll just pass the response to that. I don't know what type of response that was. An HTTP response, okay. I guess it's this one, I'm not sure. It's the one from Gator, of course. This one. Fun. Which should return the T, and then we'll just delegate to response.receive with the response. So now we've only got the suspend thing, and what I'll do instead is, do I want to do run blocking? Because, I mean, is it always going to be called from within? This is a suspend thing anyway, so let's make that a suspend do then, if that's even possible. Oof. Suspend in line. Yeah, okay, nice. And then what we'll do here is not throw a runtime, but throw an API error. With a response. Nice. And then what we can do in our registration scenario is we can check. So the first registration happens here. That should work, but then this one should not work, and all of the rest underneath we won't need to do. Yeah, none of this should happen, in fact. I guess I still want to verify that there's only one snarf in the leaderboard and that there's only one player registered event that was thrown. So maybe what I'll need to do is not check the last one, but filter, if that's a thing. Filter bit.nickname equals, well, actually player nickname. So these should only be one single snarf registered event. Has a size of 1. Apparently this is not returning what I think it's returning. No, it's a flow. So then we'll need to collect that thing. That's quite annoying because the event stream could be pushing out this is probably why we did the first thing. How do we check for non-duplicate events now? Guess we can keep that for now. What was there before? So just take the first one. Just make sure that at least one event was fired with snarf as a nickname. Need to get used to that. What's it called again? Coroutines, flow, the flow stuff. Alright, so this should fail now, and I want to assert that. Yeah, exception of type, I don't really know, but something like assert that. here we go. This is the code that should return a throwable, and that the because now we have a runtime exception, but we've got a more specific one, and I don't think there's an assertion that can deal with that thing just yet, because we're entering the abstract throwable assert. So adding the response wasn't that smart of an idea, I'm afraid. Okay, I think what we'll do instead then, but that's going to mess with my entire is using result type. So an either type that has either a player ID or an API error. Let's try that instead. Do we have that either? Do we have a maybe type? Do we have result type? Ah, we do. An arbitrary So we want the result of a player ID, but it shouldn't be an arbitrary one though. Oh, okay. Cannot be used as a return type. Yeah, I don't want the throwable, I guess. I also wonder why it's only internal use. That's interesting, yeah? How is it used? And maybe also... Okay then. This can go. Okay, I guess we'll need to write our own quick either type, I think, then. Or maybe let's do API result type. Where shall we put that? Maybe also with client then, because that's where we define the API error anyway. So this thing can be, it needs to be typed. Okay, so it should be either a success. What would that be? Is that a class then, or an object? Is it going to contain some data? Yes, I guess it is. It's going to contain the wrapped thing here. So that would be a data class success containing T. I don't really know how you like value T. And this is an API result of T. Oh yeah. Or we've got a data class of API or error. Well, maybe it should be API error. And then this thing, I guess, contains the response. Or maybe just all in one go this thing. So you construct it using a response. Here the T doesn't matter anymore, we don't use it. Or nothing, I guess. And wait, what does it say? Ah yeah. And then this will have, shit, we need to add this thing here. I'm not sure if I can reach so that way we do need an internal value. Is it you? Or does this look really weird? Thank you for finally joining, Cordusk. And I do agree that Rebecca Black does look really weird. Happy Easter, huh? This is if we make the, how do you say that? The analogy to Elm, then it's going to it's a union type, so type API result is either a success with a T, zaligpassen, or it's an API error which has nothing. Well, actually, which has the response. So this is basically what this represents. Oh yeah, it's because it is private. Oh, shit. Can I put it in here? Yeah, so I want to dynamically receive the API error out of this thing apparently when I do receive body, but yeah, I mean it doesn't really make sense because my API is always going to return an API error in a specific way. So I tried making it generic for no real reason. That's always a code smell, I guess. Do I still want this? All right. So now instead of this stuff, now I need to construct my API result. Basically transform this thing into an API result. But maybe let's first check how I will be able to use it in the scenario part. So my register player step will then be returned with an API result with a player ID. So now I need to map this to fetch player step. So let's do that. And then Actually, we don't want to do let. Let's do map instead, which we'll need to write. Oh, fucking hell. How am I making my own phonetic type? Fucking hell. I've never done this before. We're in dangerous territory here. Update all. Sure. We'll restart next time or something. I guess we can not do map just yet. I guess what you can do first is check if it's a success. So if player ID, so we'll need to rename that then. This is no longer just player ID, this is result. Was success. In that case, we can get the value. Else, I don't know, throw exception, fail. Shit went wrong. Something like that. This we'll need to create. It's going to return a boolean. It's not abstract because we can immediately implement it. This is a success. I guess I'll need some braces. Oh, and now there's no auto boxing happening. Or how do you call it? Like auto casting? Else our result was an error. Throw error or something, I don't know. Now I need to wonder why I don't get that value here. So here I expect my result to no longer just be an API result, but to be a success, so that I don't need to cast. So really what I can do now is inline this and keep it, and then see now the smart casting does happen. So I wonder how we can do that. Okay, and then the second time that happens, so if I do the register thing again, so I'll do val second result equals this thing, and then we'll do if second result is API error, then everything is fine, in fact. That's interesting. Incompatible types, yet this is a sealed class though. Maybe. Now I guess I need to say that this is always a nothing or something. I don't know. See, I don't care about the T in this case, huh? The E for error, and then T is not used. Maybe we can just make this into an any then. Maybe that's why this should be any. Is it still complaining for the same reason? I guess it is. It's sad. Voila. Now I can say second result. I wanted to go receive response now. Receive body. And then here we go again. It needs to be reified, then we need to inline it. Okay. Okay, so that works. If I put it inside, then I don't think I'll need to have response. Oh, fucking hell. Testing my luck. Receive body. And this needs an E now, and now I need an API. API error, Jason? I don't remember what I called that error type in my exception handling thing. I could have sworn we already had something here. Oh, just a message? Oh, we don't have an actual exception type then. That's interesting. So we don't have an API error type yet. Okay. Well, in that case, it's always just going to be a string. So there we go. And then we can assert that our string or our exception message is equal to my expected error message saying you can only register once with the same Epic ID or something. Epic account, maybe that will make more sense to people if they read that. There seems to be some errors here. Unresolved reference. You what, mate? There you go. Here, okay, so that's the thing we had before. So now I need to have some kind of a way to you know, like assign this on success. So basically wrap this so I don't need to repeat it like that. Maybe just say like expect success or something. Oh, garp. So it's a bit different because so here is where I want expect success to be called, and then that should immediately return the player ID, and then expect success will write quickly as an inline or no an extension function here on API error.success, saying it's going to return the wrapped type. So here we shall write I think it's supposed to be here. Nee. Oh. I don't know if you can do that. So let's do T there. Then we'll say it's an inline function with reified T. There we go. And then we'll say that if this thing here, blah, blah, blah. Let's not restart. So. Okay, I guess I'll need to move that to my API error thing. Here. Come on. Yeah, so not this. I'll just want to return this dot value. And this should be API result dot success. I also need to return. No. And otherwise, this should happen. But really, this should be just D. I don't understand why this couldn't work. That's also should not be the name. I don't want to expect success. That's what it was called. Expect success. And also not on API error. What the hell is going on? That's weird, huh? Anyway, so I would expect that this thing should work. Expect success as an inline function on the sealed class of API result, which is the thing I'm returning. And I need a reified stuff. Or do I? I don't think I do. Yeah, I don't need it. Then I don't need this either. Voila. And now we are returning our player ID would be a player ID. Voila. Okay. Let's try to inline that again. And then let's maybe wrap this into chat info. I never rage over code. Oh, I do, but not when it's my code. Only when it's other people's code. I will very easily blame somebody else. I was like, which idiot wrote this? Yeah. Which is why I apply. That might also explain why I always want to write well-readable code for, I mean, do you know that phrase, always write code as if the next contributor is going to be a psychopath that knows your address? That's how I tend to write code. But hey, that seems to work now. Huh? So if now I read, I want to register a player with this nickname and this chat info, and I expect success, then I will already get a player ID. So now that works fine, and then I guess I can also do that thing here, so that this becomes a bit more readable again. So that should look like this, maybe with this thing as well. And then the shit went wrong is moved to expect success, and here we can explain what went wrong, in fact. Because we can say expected success but got, and now we know that this is an API error, and we can get the receive body. Receive. Oi. Ah yeah, but now we don't have an actual. Ah yeah, no wait, it's a string. We know this. We can say it's a strong. None of the following candidates is applicable because of receiver type mismatch. So really what it's saying is that this is not an API error. That's kind of weird, because they did the smart casting here, so we got, okay, it's an API result, but it is in fact a success. So yeah. Which fucking idiot wrote this shit is me from the past. That's also quite motivating to write better code. That's very true. Yeah. Very true indeed. At least when you're when I program at work, I'm almost never writing code by myself, because we usually do pair programming or mob programming. So in that case, responsibility is always shared. But then again, because you're pair programming or mob programming, you get immediate feedback about how shitty or not understandable your code is, so you can immediately fix it and learn. And then yeah, that's great. Now I'm wondering how this is not a, I don't get it. Maybe it's because of trying to use it like that. Error message or something, I don't know. Let's do error message equals shit. It's still just an API result that I don't understand. Maybe if I replace it with a when. I mean, what else can it be? Is API but here it is the is a no wait, this is the wrong API error. That might have explained why. There we go. And how come I can't call? Oh yeah, that's annoying. I guess we'll do run blocking or something on this thing. Now this is no longer, that sucks, self. Because I lose a reference to this when I'm in a run blocking scope. It's just like JavaScript really. So I need the self assignment. Boop. Yeah. This looks great. That. Okay. There we go. What does this thing look like? That equals this is your career. You're one of those JavaScript ninjas they always talk about. Alright, let's check it out. We've got the expect success thing happening now. Hallelujah. That's a player ID. And then what? I wonder, actually, yeah. Because I'm not sure if I read it properly here now. Because this T type is also something that we're returning here. As far as I'm reading this code. Because if let's do convert to block body. Yeah, see, then you're returning all of this jazz, which means that our T, that's so weird. I was gonna say that means that our T here equals this thing, but that it make no sense. No, maybe it just works. We'll have to test it out. Okay, expect success is go. Then I guess what we'll also do is expect failure or something. Because that's what we're trying out here. So expect failure, and then we should get the failure or error message or something out of it. And that means we can do this. And now we will write the expect failure just like we wrote the expect success function. Failure. So let's put the expected case here so we can return that thing. Oh wait, let's do this. Expected failure, but got this dot value. And then we hope that this dot value is has a toString implementation. Okay, this is a bit more difficult. I don't know if we can immediately return. Wait, so this we need to do anyway, and then here's the error message. And then we'll assign to this and then return error message. And then we'll run. Struggling. Ah yeah, this is not going to return a T ever. Now I wonder if we can just do this instead. Yeah. Oh, this is so weird. Now I can remove the string generic type because my expect failure function is going to returning a string, and that's the implicit return argument here. So this is not very readable code, I would say. But it's a working code nonetheless. At least that's what I think it is. Cool. I feel like there must be some magic happening with this fail function. Let me take a sip of my backup drink. Oh boy. Skål, hè? It is generic, and it should return T, but there's no, I mean, it's not an extension function though, so there's no way that Kotlin can interpret this thing properly. Okay. What the fuck? Let's go to the scenario again. Then we expect failure, haha, and we can assert it. I guess we could even inline this stuff. Expect failure and then with the description or something. With this one. Oh, and then we can also make expect failure be a suspend function. Oh wait, no, this is different. I want the error message so that I can check that the exception or the actual message looks like this and then fail on this. That's it. Okay. All right. So I expect this to break, but wait, we've got some non-compiling code here. So now we need to transform our register player step into an API result, and all will be good. So here's the two-player ID thing. So if this works, I should map that to success. Is that too weird? And otherwise, oh fuck. Throw API error. API result dot API error with the response. So that's already compiling, and then the to success thing should be it's on the two-player ID, yeah? So an optional player ID even. To success should return a success of a player ID, and yeah, that's the one. We'll just wrap this. Was nu weer jong? Ah ja. This will still compile, yeah. Ooh. Now we can make an extension function out of this. Or maybe including this thing. Ah yeah, on a maybe type. Oh, holy crap. Let's try it out. So what would that thing look like? It can be an any question mark as API result or something. It should no wait, it needs to be a T. I don't know if that will work. I don't know how that works. It should return an API result of, I guess, that same any type, but I'm not sure that can work. And then I want to check this. Yeah, basically if this is not null, then I want to wrap it in success, and else I want to go shit, I need my response. Shit. Like this. Is that gonna work? It's the other API error. Screw that mess. It's not being used anyway. Seems legit. Hey, thank you for the follow. Now let's put it on different lines. Hold on. Add braces. Add braces. Nee? Because now I believe what I can do is I can say to player ID as API result. As API result using response. Yeah, and then you get the any. So I need to generify this somehow. Huh? How the f do you do that? Does that work like that? Oh. Maybe it's not the any type that I need, but array. I wanted product, no, sorry, project structure, not but so any is not typed, but I need the type. I'm not sure if you can write it as an extension function that way then. Because it would mean that you would be able to extend object. Oh, maybe it's just object. No. Oh no. And I know, wait, if I go to nothing, the nothing type, it also does not extend. The other thing I could do is write a constructor function for API result, but then I wouldn't have it as an extension function. Damn it, how do I get it as an extension function? Fuck. Let's quickly Google Kotlin extend any. Maybe that will work. This way I will find it. I'm really not sure if you can do that. It makes sense that you can't actually, so. You can do it on any or an optional thing, but then you don't get the type of it. And I need the type. After the null check, this is autocast to a non-null type, but still an any. Oh, I guess I could cast it. Or not. Too many arguments. That's not how you cast. Shit. I guess it will break then, but I mean, if it's not. When will this break, in fact? I'm wondering when this will break. I think it's fine like this. Nice. That's cool, huh? And then I think I will put this also in the client thingamajig here. Where? Okay. Then we import, then we clean up imports. Then we go to the scenario thing again. And I guess now it's a bit more readable. So let's try to run it. I suspect that it might still fail. This one should be green if I remember to set up all of the database stuff. I hope so. Ah, cheers. What is running at 999? I guess we kill it or what? I don't think this is running at 99999. See? 8080. Kill. Yeah, bish. And then we run it again. Ooh, unless yeah. So I already forgot about my the earlier change. What we need to do is where did I put that? No. Infra? No. Did I put it? So I'm looking for the database scripts. Here you are. This is not a oh snap. Oh no. That's not good, Bob. Okay, so this is part of Flyway. I'm not sure if I'm actually using Flyway, but so Flyway is a database migration tool, and it understands how far you've run your database migrations, and at first glance, here's the projections database. Is that where? Yeah, I guess that's where. So this one, before it didn't have a flyway migration table. So I'm suspecting that right now it won't have one either. And I think that before we just randomly created that table for the registered players. So if we go to queryable, no, not this one, the help me out here, players DAO, yeah, this one. So this DAOs or JDBI expects there to be a table called registered players, which we do have, but it only has an ID and a nickname. So the reasoning I did before when I was creating the leaderboard table was, you know what, let me put this in some kind of SQL file so that I understand how I created this table in order to eventually introduce Flyway or whatever to this project. But I never did that for the registered players table. So I think what I'll do next is I will, oh man. Yeah, I do not remember for the life of me how this syntax works again. I think it's something like that. Create registered players table. Sure. And then this one needs to be the second one. It will have 0 consequences because we're not using Flyway. And then I'll need to can you do that, IntelliJ, please? Please, IntelliJ. Generate DDL to clipboard. Oh yeah, baby. And then we'll go to this one, paste, and then this is what it should look like. Don't want to do that. But now I need 2 more fields, I think, because it should look similar to a queryable player. Oh man, and I need to extend this thing as well. Maybe I should have written an integration test for the database. I also have no idea about length of those things. The JOT ISS bullshit. Fucking clueless. So when you are a registered player, you should really have both of these, otherwise I won't be able to link your Epic account to your own personal account. So it should look like this. Let's, I guess, keep the same consistency somehow. I also don't like that in the other one I explicitly stated not null, but here it seems to be implicit. So like this. Whatever. Yeah, so let's remove our registered players table. Salut. And then we will run this against the projections database. And there we go. Oh shit. I was gonna say there we go. We need to manually refresh this thing or what? Ah, there we go. IntelliJ was a bit slow. Okay, get rid of this, get rid of that, rerun our scenario. Where are you at? Oi. Okay then, fine. Just rerun it like this then. I also forgot whether my registration scenario spins up a separate Spring Boot application or if it reuses something. No, it spins up a new one. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Failing row contains null, and then, right, we didn't specify. So here's my integration test. Lol. Except that it's very far removed from where it breaks now. So I need the Jolt ISS, Jolt sub. Yeah. I might need to uppercase these. I'm not really sure. But it's going to be using the fields from this Queryable Player data class. So let's rerun that thing again. So it might be even that I did this same thing last time. And that just means that I need to get used more to using these kinds of integration tests to verify the DAO's implementation. Okay, now it's the other way around. So if you want to create a queryable player, since the constructor parameters it's whining about, I guess. No. So Jolt ISS, Jolt sub, and then let's rerun that again. Oh shit, I should probably do that here too. I'm not sure if how that works. Yeah, I guess it's crashing now because it was still running with that one. So let's rerun it again one last time. So this is the clear disadvantage of these tests is that they run really slow or slowly, because we have to spin up a Spring Boot container every single time we do this stuff. In fact, that might go faster if we start using Ktor. Alright, but we do have a running scenario test, at least for the first one. So now if I go to the second one, this one I still expect to fail, because we didn't implement uniqueness. Expected failure, but got like some ID. Nice, huh? Okay. So now we've got a failing test. Oh, jeez. Maybe I want to commit this. That's clear separate. Oh man, I've got so much open code. Jesus Christ. Okay, these are docs. That is docs. And then I want to say logged about decision to only have Epic Games as an IDP. Epic AD. And then what? Then we can still only select this maybe. This is just a remove that we can log separately, I mean commit separately. Yeah. Fire removed unused domain coin module. At least I think it's unused. IntelliJ wasn't registering it as a module, so, and there was no code in it anyway, so what's this thing? Yeah, here I added, okay, basically this is one big commit saying that I added new feature, and it's also work in progress. Added Schultz ISS and Schultz sub to a registered player to identify them their external account with plus failing test. Almost. Okay. Okay, now we can roll back to this quote-unquote working state, or preferable state that we end up in. Then we can implement some stuff. So this is the message that I want returned anyway. So, and I think what I want to do is I want to have this thrown from my command handler ideally. So if we go to register player, the command, this thing has a handler. This one, this thing has a test. It is not a test. Okay, let's think a bit. I don't think I want to push the responsibility of checking uniqueness onto the save of a repository, because it's in fact during the registration that I want to throw this exception. You cannot do that twice. Save also does not make the distinction between whether or not you're creating a registered player or not. This is just a way to persist it into any form of persistence, basically, because the player repository is agnostic about that technology. But that does mean that the register player handler needs to make sure that there's not yet a combination for this external account ref. So basically make sure that there's not yet a player with that account ref. So what we'll do here is we'll just check player repository find by external account ref, and then we'll pass along the external account ref to that thing, and then if this thing exists, so if not null, Then I want to throw a new domain runtime exception. And then maybe make it more explicit later, but this is the text that should be in here. And that's that, I think. So then let's implement this thing. Create member function, registered player. Yeah, I think here, yeah. In that repository. That's fun. Yeah. And they should return a possibly a registered player, a single one. If it would return multiple, then we're in some serious problems. But yeah. Should not be an override, but let's put it here underneath the get all. And then what I can do here is I can say go to the queryable players, or players actually. I cannot type for the life of me. What the hell is this? Find by external account ref, and then we'll split it up into two things. So the jot ISS and external jot sub. This combination will return this thing. Then this thing, the players thing, will understand about. I think that queryable players is an interface, but I'm not sure. Yeah, okay. So abstract them. Nice. No, it should be a queryable player, and then I need to a possible queryable player, in fact. Actually, I don't care about mapping. So it should just return a boolean. So exists should return a boolean. Then my registered player repository, if exists by external account ref. Voila. This will also rename as exists. Then this should also return a boolean? I'm not sure if you can write an exists query. Let's first try it and then see. Okay, so then we'll go to an implementation of all in the oh shit, yeah, the players and mem thing doesn't implement it just yet. So here we'll need to say players find it dot equals this thing and sub also equals sub any, and then we'll make that into an expression body. Let's leave the type signature. I should really add like auto formatting thing. Now it's formatted everything. Okay. And then what? We go to the other implementation. So the DAO, the JDBI implementation. Oh, which is compiling now because it's an interface. That sucks, huh? Let's do override. This one. We can still do this. Oh yeah, and then. That I don't know how to do. JDBI. If a single row returns multiple blah 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 blah. Yeah, I know too little about JDBI, honestly, to return a boolean. I kinda don't want to mess around with that right now. Maybe I can just Google it. JDBI exists SQL object or something. Maybe that'll work. Exist query. Fucker. God damn it. Can I remove that? Okay, fine. Bunch of queries. Looking for Boolean return types. Integer as a count. Boolean. Select exists. Oh yeah, okay. I guess I can do that. Okay then, so select exists and then select one from. Okay. Select exists with a subselect where I select anything from registered players where shots ISS equals shots ISS and shot sub equals sub. Okay, and that's that. I think maybe we can already try this in an actual database. Sure. Ah, dang. Okay, we've got two players in the registered players thing. Is there a console? And we'll run this query where we can say ISS was epic and sub was snarf. column epic does not exist. Probably we'll need to wrap it in quotes or something. Okay. Okay, that does work. Nice. And that will get mapped to a boolean. Should be okay. I think we're good. Let's run our test again. So the tests that we've skipped now are integration tests on the DAO, unit tests on the command handler, possible mapping tests in the repository, and maybe like a semi-integration test starting from the controller or whatever. It's still failing though. Ah, dang it. So if it exists, I want to throw the error. That's still how I did it, right? What is our suspicion? So we've sort of verified that the SQL statement works. I guess we can debug. Rerun it and debug. Maybe it's something really stupid, like switching the parameters around. No, I don't think that's it. Okay, here it makes sense. And then creating also makes sense. All right, let's see what's inside of external account ref. Epic schlep. Epic schlep. Did we run the wrong test? No, I think it's okay. Well, let's check it out if this is true. So it's not. Let's check the database. There's no one in here, so I might have run the wrong test, or we're what the fuck? Did I set it up wrong? Oh. This... yeah, no. Okay, wait. I'm quite dumb. So here I didn't reuse the same jot info. And then let's also make sure that it's scallop registering. All right, now let's run the test again. Maybe I should have, I don't know. Not use duplicate the test to write it. So it passes the custom exception handler. We're getting this thing logged, I think. That's the only thing we do here. Oh. Okay, so it's in fact working, but we expect the wrong thing, maybe. Oh, it might be. Oh no, don't tell me I need to register. Fuck. So I want to allow errors to happen in my HTTP client to do my own exception handling. Set capability, bruh. What even is this? This is probably also not something I would like. So let's already fix that by going to client, I think, and then make this internal. Then it's only this module that can access this as API resulting. However, yeah, let's check Ktor docs. So Ktor client. Error handling? I don't know. Handling exception in HTTP clients. Ooh. To configure response validation. Ah, here. Handle response exception. This seems like the thing I want. Handle response. Oh, don't tell me they have got their own. I guess they sort of do. I mean, yeah, they throw stuff though. Okay, today I learned. So the way to handle response exception. Oh, it's I need an HTTP response validator. What's that for pain links? Oh. So I only do this and then it's expect success equals false. Let's just see what this thing does. Then we can tackle our own, then we can probably do our own exception handling, let's say. Oh, what? All right. Now let's see if we can run them both after each other. Normally the wiping the database stuff should take care of that. But yeah, let's see about that. Okay, so now we sort of did we started the registration of a player like properly, yeah. Yeah, that's good. Oh, fucking fuck. Huh? Oh, yeah. Wait, no. Oh, oh snap. That's cheeky, yeah? I think I might have gotten rid of the thread sleep thing. The other thing I could do is just make sure that on certain events that I will always regenerate a leaderboard. And I guess that if a player registers, regenerating a leaderboard makes sense. You mother... Sucks. So first IntelliJ runs the error case basically. Registering twice doesn't work. And then oh. So I suspect that this thing that the expect success doesn't work properly, then it's still returning, it's not running through the assert fail early, because in this scenario, how does it work? Where's the complete run? Blah blah blah. So started the scenario, we wipe the database, we regenerate with a one player. Why is that? That's one. Why is it one player? And wiping database. This is the classic mistake of not having wiped the events. So in this event store, we still have one player registered, and this needs to do. Delete. Huh? Ah, voila. Delete it. And because what happens actually is the registration scenario starts, we wipe the database, and immediately afterwards a regenerate is triggered. So we will always have a leaderboard at that point. So that's something that's incorrect. But the other thing that's incorrect, I think, is that both scenarios are trying to register scallop, and I think we need to find another nickname. Gordusk. I'm going to register you. Wait, I'm going to make you the exceptional case. Huh? Exceptional case is much better sounding than error case. Huh? How do we say that? Gordusk I need to have like a different thing here. Kernochtend or something. No wait, dusk is a... Godverdomme. Leaderboard overflow. Oh yeah. Okay, there we go. It should be there. I think this might also break. Oh, fuck. Okay, let's rerun the tests. Oh wait, first we get rid of... Okay, there aren't any. That's good, that's good. Then we run all of the tests. Because this other thing, where was it? The first thing... Allez. This might have been a fluke. Although I'm not sure. Exciting! Oh wait, no, I'm like... See, this is why I need to... Okay, first let me explain what's going on. You never used Kotlin before, but it looks weird, which since Elm means good. That's nice. No, I mean, Kotlin has a lot of the same perks that Elm has, like the strict type checking, non-nullable types, easy... Well, that's not really true for Elm, but Kotlin adds some nice features on it, like it's runnable on a JVM. You can't have that with Elm. It has interop with Java. What other cool stuff is in Kotlin? You can be very expressive using extension functions, like we saw earlier with what was that thing? Like this thing, the expect success, I think wasn't? No. This one. This magic. This goddamn magic. Yeah. Yes, so, but here I need to do it explicitly. So if I say, maybe this is like not a very good example. Let's maybe create a Kotlin Scratch file. Let's say we've got some value, I don't know, and we say some value is a string, then we have to say this is some value. We cannot say it's equal to null, because then fucker, voilà. Because then the compiler will say null cannot be a value of a non-null type string. So if you want to express that this some value variable can be nullable, then you need to mark it with a question mark, just like in TypeScript really. But this is like in the Java world, an immensely time-saving ability, because if you can't have this, then basically in Java every value can be null. So really what you should do if you want to make sure that it's null safe, your functions, then you need to write unit tests for every function you write that's public and that gets in any kind of object. It's insane. And people generally don't do that. They just make sure that wherever they do the first mapping, that there's like a very concrete mapping or check that something is not null. Or whenever that you create something and it should be really important that it's not null, that you do it there. But it's such a hassle. In Kotlin, you only need to express yourself saying, hey, this is a string and not an optional string. It's a very simple feature, but a very important one. And Java might add record types so that you can write data classes like here, and even implement sealed classes and even implement pattern matching. But as long as they don't introduce a non-nullable type in their type system, Kotlin will still prevail. I 100% believe that. I can't wait for Java to do that, because then there's no longer a discussion in standards and whatnot in using Kotlin or not. But yeah. I was gonna explain why this error is happening. Well, that one we know, but this one we don't. So maybe I'll explain it using the very cool diagram I have made. Over here, everything has to do with this. It says every minute. It's lying. It's freaking lying. So the most challenges leaderboard policy waits a certain amount of time before pulling stuff from the broadcast events to rehydrate a leaderboard and jam it into the database. And right now, so, or actually for our integration tests or scenario tests, I do this sleep of a single second to wait until my policy has rehydrated the leaderboard. But this is it's not in sync. I mean, it's a hard-coded value to 1 second, but it should be in sync with my most challenges leaderboard policy. Where's this policy? Here. See, because here it says every 5 minutes, and that's not the thing I wanted. Also here it's in milliseconds instead of minutes, or like regular seconds. Yeah, so maybe I should do this, then at least it's in seconds, and then we'll multiply that. Am I being a fat liar? Why do I do 1000 times 60? Maybe this calculation is just wrong, because here I say 60 seconds times 5. That doesn't seem correct, I guess. Oh wait, no, this is... No, that is correct. 60 seconds times 5. I'm so dumb. Oh boy. Yeah. So these are millis basically. And then if I do this, then we have seconds. Yeah. So if I just want every minute, then I'll need to do this. But then I get screwed again here. If I change it, because this might just not be exactly enough or whatever, so it'll always be wrong. Oh. So every time to fix it, what I used to do was do this, and then just enable this thing. Yeah. Now we find a true reason for writing good code. Still understanding it when 3 devils deep. Or in my case, a cornet and a lagavulin. It's... I would say it's gone. But so this is the reason, Fuck. And I run into this every single time. Here's what it says. Expose a manual trigger regeneration endpoint. This will solve. Maybe I should finally do it. Damn it. I think okay, now at least one of them is working. Registers themselves and becomes a registered player and is regenerated. That works. This one fails, but I don't really know why. You can only register once. I expect Cordusk to be in the leaderboard, but Schelp is in there somehow. Oh yeah, that's because I failed to check that you are in fact in the leaderboard, Cordusk. Is the event store empty? No, it's not. Let's remove this one. Get rid of that. Oops. I really wanted to do this. And now rerun it. Cross your fingers. This is a wishful thinking based development. WBDD. BTD. Oh, it's green. And it's green. Hey, it's nice, huh? Bomb. I'm going to commit with the modification to the schedule here. And then in the next commit, I'm going to make sure that there's an endpoint that we can trigger that thing manually. So I did skip a bunch of tests now, which I think is actually quite okay because it saved me a bunch of time. We still got the value from our registration scenario test. We did have to wait a bit longer to write it, and I think like in the end, yeah, I can't say anything about it actually. All right, here we go. Scenario, actually no, working scenario test for trying to register twice with the same Epic account, in fact. Voila. Okay. We've run a bit past my initial time, but fuck it. Let's do this as a last thing because I really don't want to run into this problem ever again. So let's just do it now. Otherwise, I will keep on stalling it. So instead of saying thread sleep, what I want to say is trigger leaderboard rehydration. That's such fancy words. This will write in the client somewhere, I guess, or maybe in the, yeah, why not? This is all stuff I don't want to see anymore. Actually, not here. Let's put it. Maybe we should just put it in the leaderboard. Alright. Doesn't return anything at all. It's a fun function. Then we can get rid of that. Then I think I want to do a client and then do a what's that, like a post, I guess. I just want to trigger, I guess it's a post. Here we go. A post to URL $base URL / leaderboard / rehydrate. Maybe. Why not? Wat is het probleem, ja? Oh. That's easily fixed. To infer, yeah, I don't want you to refer anything or infer anything. But I just want you to post something too. I know in Spring Boot you can like add magical system endpoints or something, but I don't want to use that because when I switch to Ktor, then I won't have that feature. So let's just keep it as a normal URL. And then let's start listening to this thing here. So post is going to return something, but I really just want to ignore it. Yeah, so I guess it's an any. Voila. Basically, it's an I don't care. I think that's it. Trigger leaderboard rehydration. That's the thing I want. Get rid of that stuff. Oh yeah, right. We need to do run blocking this thing. And then replace that as well. You would think that I want to do run blocking across all of these things, but I'm not sure if that's indeed what I want. Okay, let's go to the REST adapter. Oh, maybe let's. Did I in fact make a nice architecture diagram already? Of course I didn't. Oh, damn. So at work I made this really nice diagram that showed like the actual hexagons in clean architecture for our project, but I need to update it here. Anyway, we're going to be modifying the adapter REST API, but not for core API then, but for the leaderboard API. Currently we just have a single module that implements both, which is a bit weird, but since they're both different bounded contexts, if you know domain-driven design terminology. But I don't care for the moment. I can still make sense of it. So we've got /API/leaderboard, and then we need another post mapping rehydrate leaderboard, which I don't know. Can you do any? I guess you can. And then that post mapping needs to go to, yeah, fuck. I think it's just rehydrate. Yeah, rehydrate. Voila. And then we shall. I need, so I'll need the. I'm not sure if I can reach. Let's see. Because adapter REST API can only talk to the core API or anything in API basically. And then core depends on API as well. So let's try. I don't expect this thing actually to work. So because that would mean that I could reach the internals of the core from my REST adapter, and that's not the plan. Leaderboard policy, I think, and it should be a most challenges done leaderboard policy, I think I call it. Here, you at this one, this thing. It's the most challenges done. Okay. And then it's saying I cannot access this. Do you want to add a dependency? No, I don't. It's a good suggestion, but I refuse to do it because then I would be breaking some principle in clean architecture that I forget. Allez, what do I want to do now? So I want to trigger this somehow. Actually, I should create a command for this now. Christ. Okay, so let's do command executor. And this should say command executor execute rehydrate leaderboards. And that's it. And then we'll just do return response entity. Okay, or something. Where's that builder thing here? Oh, no content. Makes sense. Maybe you need to build. Voila. Nice. This thing doesn't exist yet. Allez, you're gonna miss the final moment, Cordusk. Well, thanks for hanging out. Have a good night. See you. The rehydrate leaderboards we are going to add in the domain in the leaderboards API. We'll add it into here. This should be a data class, which actually should be a command. Oh no. And now should have a return type of what? A unit. You see ya. Oh, that actually works. You dog. Can I instead make this into an object? Oh, I can, yes. Nice. This is cool, huh? Actually, I forgot what the R was. It sounds like it's the result type, but command executor. Yeah, looks like it is. Cool. And then the command handler we put in the core, so not in the API, but here, I guess. Ah, snap. Maybe. Let's put it all the way at the bottom here and have a class rehydrate leaderboards handler, which will take care of a rehydrate leaderboards. That's not how you write that. It should be a command handler for R, which is unit. Voila. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Voila, that we don't care about anymore. And then we're mostly interested in the handle implementation. So, Yeah, the domain event, I think we don't need to throw anything, in fact. But it can't be null. Do we want to introduce a no-op domain event and then handle that later? Maybe we do. Yeah, so now I need to wire most challenges done policy. Actually, I also need to make this a component so that Spring picks it up. Then most challenges done. Missed one. Challenge this one. Voila. Then that gets auto wired. And then we can just say most challenges done policy to regenerate leaderboard. And then return how the hell do you do that? Null to I don't know. Leaderboard rehydrated. This is a domain event. Okay. This doesn't seem to work. Oh, because it's nothing. I think you can pass the unit explicitly. Oh, nice. Okay, so leaderboard rehydrated is maybe not the exact thing I wanted because it's more specifically the most challenges done leaderboard rehydrated. There you go. And then if we don't do anything with that event, then that's fine, I guess. We do need to make sure that we won't end up in some kind of a loop. Okay, so this can be removed. That can be removed. This can be put back so that we'll do it every 5 minutes. Coolio. You know what? And this actually also opens a possibility for us to trigger the rehydration after a player registered. Where would we put that? I guess here. So as we get that domain event, but then you're putting logic and it should be stupid. It should be just pull something from the broadcaster, put it in an event store, done. I guess when I guess this is why you need use cases of clean architecture, because now my registration controller is about to do some orchestration. Namely, whenever a registered player command returns successfully, then we also fire a rehydrate leaderboard. Or we could attach it to the event. So that player, but then we don't have that kind of a thing yet. I don't want the eventual consistency here. That's something I want to skip there. But we are crossing boundaries, so okay, that I don't know yet how to fix that. I'll need to confer with some highly knowledgeable people on how to do that. So anyway, this can be reverted. I mean, put back to the timestamp from before. We've got our command to rehydrate leaderboards. This is somehow yeah. Voila. And since it's an object, that's why we are gonna execute this thing. And we'll just get a no content back from that. Should be okay. Alright, let's check out if our registration scenario still works. I am going to wipe the event store before I do anything though. Goodbye. Oh, shit. And run this. It's gone. By the way, I noticed that the Nerd or Die squad has added a new theme, and it looks a lot like, I mean, you could interpret it quite easily as like the Kotlin theme. This works like magic, eh? Too bad Cordusk wasn't around to watch this. This is so great. I wish I did this way earlier. Added a way to manually trigger the rehydration from the scenario test. And then we push this. And it looks, so that theme, it looks like it's supposed to be the Kotlin theme or something like that. So if you take the Kotlin colors, the typical Kotlin colors, maybe I should give like a better example, like this kind of stuff, the blue and orange stuff, and the Kotlin, the very colorful theme, let's say. It reminds me of these colors, basically, is what I want to say, and this kind of stuff. And I was wondering if I should skip my current theme, or not skip it, but like transform my current theme, so like the black and the orange stuff, into using like this more colorful thing. Because somebody on the internet, one of you guys, I think, you folks, a viewer, they said like I'm the only Kotlin streamer on Twitch, which might not be true, but if I am, then it's really cool if I could be marketed that way as well. Because I really believe in the language, let's say, and I want to support it any way I can. And if that means sort of like having a more recognizable look and feel that would link a viewer to Kotlin, then that's a good idea, right? And then I can maybe also take the time to update the bottom, what's that called? Like the bar that shows who's last tipper and follower and that kind of stuff. I think I'm gonna just do it anyway. Alright, a quick overview of what we did today. Let's go to the git log. Today. Yeah, so we logged about the decision to only have an Epic Games as an IDP. Some cleanup. Then huge commit. I wish I was better at that. Where we added a JOT, ISS, and sub to a registered player. so that we can identify their external account that they use to register themselves with. And we also added a failing scenario test. We also added, in fact, a script to add the registered players, because I just manually created back in the day. We updated the registration controller. I forget why. Oh yeah, right. So we're pulling that information from the registered player JSON, which we needed because that way we can verify the behavior of checking for uniqueness on ISS and sub. Yeah, and then all of this is basically... Oh yeah, we removed the test because it's not useful anymore. And then all of our changes are in the classes that matter. Some mapping stuff here. Added the new fields as an external account ref data class. Had to update the repository, of course, to map back to a queryable player and then back to a registered player from a queryable player. And yeah, we had to make the decision in queryable player to split the external account ref up into two components. Both of these are strings, because we were too stupid to figure out how to properly do this in JDBI. So now we can just use this queryable player class to straight save it into the database. Where is that DAO? This one. Yeah. So this thing. Yeah, I gave up looking for embeddable objects basically. And then what? Oh yeah, we also had to add that same endpoint to make it compile, which is a great feature, to lean on the compiler. In our Gator implementation, which isn't really used just yet. I hope to move everything to that eventually. And then the scenario test, which now passes the chot info. Here's the failing test. Ah yeah, and then also, which now we can write as an expect success thing. Because, why is that? Oh yeah, because register player step no longer just returns the player ID, but rather an API result function, which we can map because we wrote the sealed class that, you know, just has this expect success and failure thing, and that's it. There we go. Then we fixed the test basically by implementing stuff, making sure that this exists by external account ref thing returns true when there's already a player with that same account ref. Where is that thing? Gets propagated by the repository. Then we fire a domain runtime exception when it already exists. Yeah, and then that's it. Don't remember what this thing is. Oh yeah, a way to actually do that. Then we had to fix the schedule because reasons. This I don't know where that came from. Oh yeah, because in the players in mem we also needed to implement it, otherwise it would not compile. And then we fixed our failing tests, in fact, because the setup was incorrect. And then all of a sudden we had a running test. And then finally we did the manual triggering of rehydrating a leaderboard so that we don't have to depend on the time, just time passing, which is great. All right. And that we shall push. We already did push. All right, cool. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you had a great time. Sure did myself. And I hope to see you next time, which is not next Tuesday, because next Tuesday will be the April edition of the Leuven Lean Coffee Meetup. You can register for that if you like. Yeah, that's it. And then so it's the week after Tuesday, or maybe earlier if I decide to do an impromptu stream. Not sure yet. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, and see you next time. Peace. Bye.